Hey guys, the Samsung Galaxy S23 just received the July security patch update and the size of the update is for 41.65 MB. I have checked the Geekbench score, 3D Mark wildlife stress test and CPU throttling test before and after the update. And in this video, I'm gonna share my initial review. How is the performance, how is the camera and what's changed. About the battery life, I can't say much right now, but I will definitely tell you how is the battery doing in my long-term review of the July security patch update on the S23. But before that, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So let's start. First, let's start with the Geekbench score. Before the update, the single core score was 1916 and the multi-core score was 5286. And after the update, the single core score dropped to 1772 and the multi-core score is 5193. So yeah, you can clearly see there's a slight dip in performance. It's not a big difference, but there's a small drop, especially in the single core and also bit in the multi-core scores. So now let's talk about the CPU throttling test. Before the update, the CPU throttled down to 82% of its max performance. And after the update, it throttled slightly better, 85% of its max performance. It looked like the update improved the thermal stability a bit. But when we check the actual scores like the maximum, average and minimum performance, you'll notice something before the update. The maximum and the average scores were actually higher. That means even though it throttled more, the peak performance was still better earlier. Now let's talk about the wildlife stress test. After running the full test, the best slope score was 3843 and the lowest score was 2162. So the stability is around 68.2%, which means there's a decent drop in performance when the phone heats up. Almost 43% dip from the best to worst score. That shows the phone throttles under heavy gaming or continuous load. But it's okay for day-to-day tasks. For gaming, you might feel some frame drops after long sessions though. So these were the benchmark scores, but now let me tell you my real life experience after the update. Sorry, I have cold. While using the apps like Instagram, Facebook and other daily apps, the phone tends to get a bit warm. This wasn't the case with the June update. Even when I'm just using with Wi-Fi, the phone still gets slightly warm. Now I understand if it was on mobile data. It's normal because the mobile networks are not stable sometimes. That can heat up the phone. But here, even with Wi-Fi and even the weather is not that hot, still it gets that slightly warm feel. Not heating up or anything serious, just a noticeable warmness which wasn't there in the June update. Now let's talk about the camera quality. So let me tell you something. Back in the June update, I complained about the 3x zoom camera. It was producing grainy photos in indoor lighting conditions, and honestly, that issue is still there in July update too. In our outdoor lighting conditions, there is no problem at all. The 3x zoom and portrait mode still takes really good pictures. But yeah, when it comes to indoor shots, the S23 still struggles to get that clean detailed image. And I won't blame the camera itself, I will blame Samsung because they are still using the same lens from the S22, which is already old. They didn't just reuse it on S23, they also used the same sensor in the S24 and even in the S25. Now if you compare S23 versus S25, the camera quality is slightly better on the S25, but that's not because of the new hardware. It's because of the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip on S23. The ISP, the image signal processing, is more powerful, so image processing is better, especially in tricky lighting. But if you're thinking of upgrading from S23 to S25 just for the camera, I will say don't do it. The only big difference is in terms of the performance, and yeah, the battery life will be slightly better too, but that's expected because it's a newer phone. Now, I can't really talk about the battery life right now because I need to use the phone for at least 1 week to give you a proper idea. But honestly, I feel like the battery life might be a bit less, and I will tell you why. I have been using this phone for almost 2 years now, so naturally the battery health must have gone down. In my detailed review, I will show you exactly how much battery health is left on my Samsung Galaxy S23, and I will give you a full breakdown of the screen on time, standby and all that. So yeah, battery review coming soon in my full in-depth video. So that was my initial review of the July security patch update in S23. Hope you find this helpful, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. And thanks for watching.